Hello, good evening. I'm Lisa Broom. This is the CBC Evening News. We begin our news tonight with a disturbing video taken at a funeral this week. It shows a gun being dropped at the grave of a young woman who died tragically a few weeks ago. The video has been making the rounds on social media and has caught the attention of the police. Kent Jerson tells us what happened.
CBC was able to obtain this video that's circulating on Facebook. It's of a recent burial and seems like the usual end to any other funeral, with mourners at the gravesite as the deceased is buried. Then, the camera catches a gun on the ground. It's quickly noticed, and understandably, no one seems anxious to pick it up. Eventually, a member of the Barbados Coast Guard steps forward and takes charge of the weapon. But as you will see, he isn't allowed to hold on to it for very long. The young man who grabs the gun takes off with it, leaving mourners stunned. Police are aware of the video. Public Relations Officer Assistant Superintendent David Welch tells CBC it is engaging the force's attention. Kent Jerson, CBC News.
Attorney General and Home Affairs Minister April Brathwaite is addressing the matter of youth and crime in Barbados, and he's particularly concerned about the punishment meted out to young people. He says there's a need for immediate reform, and those reforms could come as early as next month. Ryan Broom reports.
Colonial and traditional perspectives of punishment are outdated. That's how Attorney General April Brathwaite sees the system of punishment of youth. He raised the concern during a national conference on juvenile justice held at the Lloyd Erskine Sandyford Center.
The research continues to show that harsh and inhumane treatment is not a deterrent to offending behavior. We have tended to ignore the psychological and mental trauma that accompanies the traditional harsh punishment. I am convinced that a boy or girl who grows up subjected to physical punishment or harsh treatment brings that behavior into adult life. But I'm digressing a bit. I'm of the firm opinion that we're causing more harm than good by confining our children to the government industrial school and sometimes to DOS, to prison.
Mr. Brathwaite believes that the time spent by offenders at the government industrial school is simply too long.
Our system is in need of reform. It's been in need of reform for many, many, many years. We have, under our law, is a minimum sentence of 3 years, for example. You know, so you have many young people who are being sent to the government industrial school for 3 years. That really should not be. You know, there may be cases where that you want for their own protection to have somewhere to send them, but certainly not for 3 years.
He also reminded those in attendance about the significant financial costs that prison entails.
Prison is not working well for society, placing a huge cost burden on the taxpayer, who often receives upskilled rather than reformed criminals for their money. I thought I would share that with you, very thought-provoking. In this conference, we are therefore suggesting a paradigm shift, an enlightened approach to dealing with our youth population, which is in keeping with the provisions set out in the Convention on the Rights of the Child.
But he says mediation is necessary, and the community at large must play its role in setting examples for the youth to follow, guiding them accordingly.
Barbados should earn millions of dollars in foreign exchange with the hosting of the GP14 World Yachting Championships next March. Consultant to the Barbados Tourism Marketing Incorporated, Peter Jilks, says around 100 boats have already registered for the event. GP14 is classified as a yacht operated by 2 people. Now, Mr. Jilks says in addition to those in the competition, around 450 to 500 family members and friends will be coming to Barbados. He says the spin-off benefits will be massive.
I don't think that we can do an event with 500 people and not see somewhere $3-4 million being spent. And it's not just coming in and doing the event. It is a case that they're coming in and spending 2 weeks in the island. And if you're here for 2 weeks, there's a figure that the CTO has worked out and has a dollar spent, and for people to be here over 2 weeks, and the type of clientele, sailors, and so that would be the sort of estimate if I had to put a rough figure on it.
Event organizer Andrew Davies says this is the first time the World Championships will be held in the Caribbean. He says many of the visitors will be coming here for the first time and will make time to enjoy the island.
Through the event here, we have a complete program, and in that program we have 2 lay days, 2 holiday days, where the teams can get away and sample what the island has to offer, so they can be real tourists and spend money and have a good time.
The Barbados National Trust says the loss by fire of one of its listed buildings, Clifton Terrace, also referred to as Trinidad House, is a big blow to historic Bridgetown and its garrison, and would like to see it restored. Fire totally destroyed the building just around 7:15 yesterday morning, leaving the owner distraught and 2 people renting apartments there homeless. General Manager William Gollop says the 2-story structure was once home to T.T. Lewis, a white Barbadian who won support of many black voters in the city in the 1940s and 50s. There are about 3 others like it in Barbados.
If it is not restored, it means that, and again this refers to the World Heritage property, the streetscape, it is the property, World Heritage property, also includes the streetscape with this. And if this particular building is not restored, you know, it will affect the streetscape.
We'll have more news after the break, but first we want to get your take on this question. Should the police reintroduce their stop and search for illegal weapons? Text yes or no to short code 8111. We'll have the results at the end of the news.
Get on your feet, Barbados. It's Kurt Brown.
Tony Thorne.
I'm DJ Puffy. Join us for the ICBL Family Fun Walker Run 2015. This year, it's your move.
The race is on this Heroes Day, April 28th at 6 a.m. Starting and finishing at ICBL Robert Street with a health extravaganza.
This is your chance to be a part of something big that can benefit you, your community, and Barbados.
That's right. Take the first step. Call ICBL today. Proceeds go to select charities.
It's your move, Barbados.
Shopping in the Sky is simply delicious at our mouth-watering brand new Sky Food Court. Our amazing spread includes Little Pleasures ice cream, coffee, and desserts. Authentic Asian cuisine at Waldy's Walk. Delectable Greek dining at Oba Express. A range of sumptuous Caribbean dishes at Tamarind of the Islands. And the very best of Bajan cuisine and pastries. Compliments Master Chef E.D. and his delightful pastry house and Peter Patty's. Plus, we've got the world-renowned fast food giant, Burger King. You cannot pass Haggett Hall and not join us for a quick, delicious meal for breakfast, lunch, and dinner at our brand new food court. Only at Sky Mall, where, when it comes to great fast food, there are no limits.
Win tickets to the Digicel Reggae Festival every week right here on CBC TV 8. Watch Morning Barbados and The Mix every day to hear how you can win tickets to Vintage Reggae, Reggae on the Beach, and Reggae on the Hill. CBC TV 8, bringing you the vibe of the Barbados Reggae Festival.
After only 2 weeks of this year's sugar harvest, the 2015 crop has so far produced just under 2,000 tons of sugar. Lisa Lord reports.
Sugar officials say that up to Sunday, April 19th, the harvest had produced 1,854 tons of sugar from 21,411 tons of canes that were processed. It has taken 11.5 tons of canes to make a ton of sugar, which is less than desirable and is above the usual amount at the start of the crop. This is being blamed on the late start to the harvest, which is expected to produce around 12,000 tons of sugar. Sugar officials say recent heavy rains have been posing some problems for the harvest, and they are hoping drier conditions will prevail for the remainder of the crop, which is expected to finish at the end of June. Just last week, Portville factory stopped production for at least 1 day, with engineers having to undertake repairs to a boiler. Lisa Lord, CBC News.
A Barbadian man nabbed attempting to smuggle about 8 pounds of marijuana into Antigua on Sunday has been fined 150,000 EC dollars, or about 111,000 Barbados dollars. Jason Corey Weeks pleaded guilty to 3 related offences. For the charge of possession, he was reprimanded and discharged. However, for importation, the Barbadian will have to pay 90,000 EC dollars or spend 18 months in jail. The penalty for intent to transfer is 60,000 EC dollars or prison for a year. Weeks has until tomorrow to pay the fines. The marijuana was hidden in false compartments in his suitcase. The Barbados Water Authority is moving to minimize any impact on the environment from the new pipe bursting and horizontal drilling technology it is about to use. According to project engineer Shelley Paris, the replacement of water mains is part of a $50 million water and sanitation systems upgrade. Ms. Paris says a U.S. firm is doing the consultancy.
We used the assistance of a consulting firm out of Atlanta, CH2M Hill, to assist us with selecting the locations across the island based on the age, material, the number of bursts, and problems that we are getting, water quality, for instance, to help us with the selection of the locations across the island.
Ms. Paris says some of the mains being replaced are between 40 to 100 years old and vary in size. The United Nations Task Force is looking at making Barbados a trans-fat-free country in the coming years. This from Pan American Health Organization representative to Barbados and the Eastern Caribbean, Godfrey Shirab. He says the initiative can be achieved if all sectors work together.
One of the things that was discussed between the Commission, with the Commission by the UN Interagency Task Force is also the idea of ensuring that Barbados could become trans-fat free. And again, this would be the first, because none of the Caribbean is yet trans-fat free. There are very few countries in the world that are trans-fat free, and we need to work together, private sector, government, civil society, the UN family, to ensure that in the coming years we could achieve this for Barbados.
Mr. Shirab says one of the first steps in removing non-communicable diseases is encouraging children to eat healthy. Well, still to come, a look at some of the stories making headlines across the region. But first, a reminder that we want to hear from you on the question: should the police reintroduce their stop and search for illegal weapons? Text yes or no to short code 8111. The result at the end